Hello everyone, the name is Kris Barocsi and I'm here to talk about checking your guitar's setup. It's a really easy thing to do and I am aware of all the videos out there on the same subject, but still you wouldn't believe how many people come to me every day at work, at Thomann in the repair shop, asking for setups and not being sure of what they're doing when they're doing it themselves. So let's get right into it. I intentionally didn't grab any, weird stuff you don't have at home. All I have is my guitar here, first as always, and that's a priority list, I suppose you can call that. So first is the neck. How on earth will you do it? Well, I see people doing this all the time, looking like down the neck from the nut or from the back from the body like this way. And the fact is, this will fool you. Your eyes will kind of think, yeah, that's pretty straight. What you're seeing is one thing, but that's tricky because the fret ends have an impact on what you see. If it's a rolled off fretboard or a straight one, there are things, shadows and shades and everything. It's not a good thing. It's very important to look down the neck to make sure that there's no S curve, no weird things going on in the wood. But if you just want to go for a good action, don't be bothered. I never do it unless I kind of feel there's a problem zone somewhere on the neck. So what you do instead is really simple. Just push down the last fret and the first fret, and between those two fingers, go as much in the middle as possible. Your pinky or whichever, maybe your index finger here. Just go right in the middle and just go for it. Test if there's just a tiny bit of air between the string, which is now your ruler, and the top of those frets right there in this region, somewhere in the middle. This is what you are going for if you want a low action without too much fret buzz, without fretting out in this region when you're bending. That's your basic first thing. If you don't want a low tension because you love, bluesy, tasty, bendy stuff and you want to work a little, you don't have to go that straight, of course. You can go for like, 1 millimeter, which is, I don't know how much, an inch, I'm sorry. You can go for that, so a bit more air, a bit more relief on the neck, but not a lot. Repeat the same thing and just make sure there's a bit of movement, because if there's nothing left, that's too much. You will have issues in this region of your neck. You will have fret buzzes, you will have dead notes, you will not enjoy your instrument, and your guitar will not sound as good because the strings cannot ring out properly. Step number 2 is going to be your nut. You want to make sure the slots for the strings are not too deep, but enough deep. In many cases, there is some chance for a better setup. What you want to do is pushing down the third fret, like between the second and the third, and check in with your, let's say, left index finger if there's, again, just a bit of air between the first fret and your string. because this way your ruler, your string, is going from this point to the nut, and between you should have a tiny bit of air between the string and the top of the first fret. Not a lot, really. I mean, like barely visible, but there has to be some air. Otherwise, you will have fret buzz when you're playing open strings. And just go for it and check all 6. In many cases, this is pretty easy to do. You just need the proper fret file, nut files. So you can make your guitar play so much better, especially in this region. You know, if your nut is set up properly. Step number 3, and this is the point where you touch your saddles. You do want to follow, like a basic rule, you do want to follow the curve of your fretboard, which is called the radius. You have to try it every time. You know, whenever you're done with a step, just go for it, play a little, and make sure you enjoy your guitar a bit better, or weird stuff don't happen, because if yes, you have to go back. You know, it's reversible, luckily. And we're just talking check right now. We're not talking how actually setting up a guitar goes. That's a bit longer, and you will need a couple of tools, you know, Allen keys or screwdrivers or files if you want to do something on your nut. Basically, what you want to make sure is that your guitar is in that zone, that it's not like a handbrake pulled in that kind of pulls you back. You really don't want that, because it's of course very nice to have very good sounding tools and amps and pedals and most expensive guitars and whatever, but even if you have a cheap guitar and it's set up properly, that's crazy. I mean, that's the experience where people go, what? How much does this cost? You know, so with a good setup, a cheap guitar, really a $100, $200, $300 guitar will work almost like a real pro instrument. So make sure to do this check every now and then on all of your guitars. Neck first, push down, and check in the middle. Then the nut, 3rd fret between the 2nd and the 3rd fret, just push it down, and then test if there's any space between the 1st fret and the open string. And then you check the saddles. If the tension still seems to be way too high after you did the neck, you check the nut, and those are okay, and still the tension is too high, then it's just the bridge, you know, just the saddles on whatever bridge you have, and you just have to set it up the way you like it, and that's it. But before you do this, you have to make sure these guys are all good. On a bass, it's gonna be the same as on electric guitars or other guitars. It's just everything a bit more, you know, thicker strings, longer neck. You can allow those strings to have a bit more space, like pushing them down like this, just a little bit more, not like barely visible. It should be like clearly visible, but not a huge space between them. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching. My name is Kris Barocsi. This is my channel. It's brand new. It's not really new, but I didn't post for a long time. So make sure to subscribe, spread the word, hit the bell. You know what to do. And most importantly, comment and let me know what you want to see on this channel. Cheers, guys. Take it easy.